You know, I think I'm surprising even myself with my feelings on this one. We needed to do a follow-up on our Emily in Paris season 5 watch. Be my review encapsulating the entire season and whether or not I think you'd actually like to watch it if you've left off at another point in time, or maybe you haven't decided if you're ready to make time for the show. I don't feel like I need to overly judge or overly analyze this show because they do a lot of beautiful things. It is very fun, it is very whimsy, and I think the few caveats that I had coming into the season, or the holdover feelings that I had from previous episodes, was Lucas Bravo's feelings about where Gabrielle was going. I knew that he was kind of struggling with the character development, and I think they did a good job at not just making him a side piece, kind of honoring his feelings while also not just making him float around Emily, because it didn't make sense for the story. I like how they did that. I think that was really helpful in respect to him, but also in keeping me interested. Like, I'm very intrigued about his little life right now. I am kind of glad that we took away the Emily is a social media influencer, and I think that it has more to do with the fact that it just almost is disrespectful to the people who do this as a job for a living, and the ways in which we're very flippant about it and the effort that's required to do it. It's not to say that you can't have an easier version of this, but there's a lot of time that goes into doing this and to captivating an audience and to communicating and engaging with a community and having this kind of experience. It takes a lot of effort and skill kind of built in, and the photos that they were showing as influencery definitely got under my skin in the first few seasons. I love Sylvie's arc this season. I really appreciate the journey that we kind of went on with everybody. I think it's very interesting to see how that's kind of come about. We haven't really discussed what it fully looks like for Emily to have this life in Paris when there's not a guy kind of attached to the experience, because I think the marketing job, the friend side of things, she's had that to some degree, but there's always been a kind of love interest that's tying her to Paris. So to have her say, you know, actually I built a life for myself in Paris, like I'm not going to chase this guy to Solitano and to go to another city for this. I'm actually saying there is more in this city and it's really something that's for me, and I think we kind of need to see that. I just want to see her have a season of just being Emily and not necessarily chasing somebody and all of the kind of issues that go with it. I feel like it would be fun to just watch her get to flourish completely, but at the same time, for some reason we only get one more season of the show. I'm happy to see the love interest of it. So many people thought that I was talking about Cammy when it came to my complaint about the backstabbing girl at the beginning of the season, but no, we got rid of her. Genevieve was who I was talking about. I just didn't know her name, and I was pissed off enough to not need to know it, so the fact that we were very quickly like, no girl, bye, I was happy about that. Luke was so funny this season. So many moments of just pure humor. I loved him for it, and I loved the way that we just incorporated it. The staying in the convent, the finding his artwork in that restaurant. Every little moment was just pure Luke, and I loved it. I do think my one kind of meh was, obviously I was originally unsure about Mindy and Alfie. I felt like we weren't getting enough to see how their relationship was actually developing outside of the sex moments. And so I'm glad that we did get that scene where she's finding out about Ratine, and it was such a pure moment for them and kind of finding the humor in something that just could feel really demoralizing or really demeaning. And like obviously seeing that moment into Nico being, oh, you can pay the rent, like her value. I think we're still being reminded a little bit that there is still that forward-facing image that Nico cares about, but money is obviously a very high priority for him, versus Alfie's like, it's money, it cashes, whatever. Also, it's not that big of a deal. I would really love to explore more of Mindy next season. I'm glad that we got more of Sylvie this season. I appreciated the moments that we got with Mindy this season, but I would love for there to be either longer episodes to give us more of that and for us to really explore that, because the possibility of an Alfie and understanding that maybe Nico really isn't it. When we got to the point of seeing that ring, I just remember thinking, this feels very underwhelming. And that's not to say that it's not a lovely ring if somebody would like it, but it felt like just not the right ring for their relationship, not the right ring for her, not the right ring that he would want to give her. It was a weird kind of just moment for me where it made me question whether or not that was actually the right relationship, which I think is an intentional choice, both in terms of like costume design and just what feels authentically like Mindy. It's very much a storytelling element, but I'm very curious to see kind of how we get a deeper version of that in the next season. I think if anything for next season, I would love to see Emily's relationship with her parents a little bit more. It wasn't until they really called it out this season I recognized that we didn't know that much about her family and her relationship with them and all of the dynamics that kind of existed. And I think that it would be really nice to explore that before we got to see her kind of dive deeper into a love relationship. I said before, I would love to see Emily in therapy, but I do feel like as far as kind of balancing all of the fun, all of the whimsy, all of the things that I really feel like I love about this show, I do feel it's nice to see just a smidge of that growth, a smidge of that depth, a little bit more grounding in all of the things in this world, because it just makes us appreciate appreciate it a little bit more, and it helps us connect with these characters. We got those moments in certain situations. That moment where she's talking to Gabrielle before he gets on the train, it really added that depth of connection. We're getting more of those, and it felt like it took us a minute to get there this season. I would love to see us get more of that, but I also don't know how many seasons of the show we are going to get. Anyways, I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you appreciated it, what your favorite parts were, what you don't want to see, what characters you would love to never see again. If you are team Mindy and Alfie, how do you feel about all of the things? I'm so very curious. I haven't been scrolling because I just like to kind of keep it in our bubble, so I don't know what the rest of the internet is saying, so let me know. Also, what was your favorite costume piece from this season? The handbags were absolutely my favorite. I went down the rabbit hole of Googling, and I'm thankful for the people who find all of them. The handbags were killing it for me this season. I had a few moments with the costumes where I was like, I don't know about this, but the handbags were slay. Always, 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 always.